Residents, go in and stay in your houses. Drive the rats in the tank area.
What is up? You guys made it through the malevolent Monday. That mundane feeling that we all get the moment we wake up on Monday mornings and are like, nope, not today. Just like saying, not today, Jesus. Anyway, welcome to another edition of Tracks of the Damned, where we're going to be examining a little bit closer Incantation and Dying Fetus's new albums. And I think it's going to be really kind of cool because I've had a chance, really, me personally, I know, Hoofbeast, all the records forwards and backwards, but it gave me a chance to like pit it against earlier stuff and just seeing differences because, I mean, these are seasoned bands.
Right.
They have quite a catalog and they've been doing this shit. Who would have ever thought being so underground to here we are 30 some years later and they're still at it. But before we get into that, let's take a quick commercial break over to our brothers at Villain Arts Tattoos. Check that shit out. That's right. Keep an eye out when they come through your city to make sure that you get there, get yourself a quality professional tattoo, as well as taking in all the amazing vendors and performers.
Reaper, we need a new soundtrack for Villain Arts. They need a metal soundtrack, not a rock and roll soundtrack.
I couldn't agree more. And you gotta love Mouse Bong. If that's all you took away from that commercial, I mean, who doesn't like it, right? But still, for sure. And there's going to be some revamping because, as you guys can probably see, we have coined a new logo. Hey, what's up, Kyler? What's a happening, brother? And everybody else coming in at the moment. So, yeah, we got a new logo, and I think it's pretty cool. So, apparently, Hoofbeast likes it too. So, we're going to be kind of changing things around a little bit. It's time to put a new spin on this evil we like to call Tracks of the Damned.
Maybe we'll have a new Hoofbeast song on there with you on drums. Like we could maybe use that for an intro for something, or Iron Serpent one, because I think you're going to do some drum tracking for Iron Serpent as well, aren't you?
Well, that's actually going to be on hold, and I got something new that has been born out of like basically the Thin Air, which you'll start seeing some cryptic things as weeks to come here. It's already begun, and the conjuration is at an all-time high. So something you'll definitely dig too there, Hoof Beast. But we're not here to talk about that. As a matter of fact, hold on. My computer, of course, is being its usual stupid self. Thank you, Kyler. Kyler says, love the new logo. Yeah, it's definitely a little bit more prominent.
Yeah.
All right. We are here. Speaking of conjuration, we are here to talk about, and as long as my computer works with me here, we are here to talk about Dying Fetus and Incantation. Both of these guys have put out new albums this year. And Hoofbeast and myself were just talking about this a little bit ago, that, back in like 89, 90, for some of these bands, it's like, holy shit, would they have ever really imagined that they would still be doing this to this day? Because we're talking about, especially with Incantation, that, in the New York scene back in 89. So they didn't really come out officially until the 90s. And they never would have thought that they would have this cult following. And they were actually given a kind of a really cool kind of genre name known as cavernous death metal. Mm-hmm. And I kind of like that because I feel like it's very synonymous with their music in a lot of ways. And of course, they're all about the blasphemy. It's all about anti-Christianity, satanic and occult themes. Who doesn't love that? I know that gets my nipples hard. So having to, listen to this album and then kind of going back and listening to some of the earlier stuff, it was really kind of nice. So let's just jump right into that. We'll start with Incantation here. And there it is. Unholy Deification. So very H.P. Lovecraft artwork, which I love that shit. And I think this was on, we kind of sort of touched upon some of these records on another episode that we did. So it's kind of nice to like go over it again, really kind of let it sink in. I mean, that thing, that monstrous creature that looks like one of the seven gods of chaos, definitely makes you feel like you're about to get destroyed. How's it make you feel there?
Well, unfortunately, I don't have any record stores that carry the vinyl here. So I want to see that image this big. And I've never been on my computer looking at it. It's always on my phone. I want to know what the hell's going on. It looks to me like there's two Goliath monsters clashing in the ocean. And they're stepping on what normally would be coral, but these are humans' bones, I believe, that makes up the bottom of the ocean. It looks like there's some bird-like thing, like the feet look like a bird, the way the back hinge of the leg looks like a bird. There's a couple of wings, but then there's these weird serpent-like hook things on the far left. And I don't know what's going on. I've been wondering what's going on.
It's definitely arms, like extra arms. It's literally, and I really examined it a bit earlier. It's definitely one creature. It has multiple heads. And you're right. They are definitely kind of like almost in another dimension or very ethereally walking on piles of skeletons, basically just lots of bones. And then right above is almost like this endless sea of like souls, I guess you could say.
I thought I was picking that out too.
Yeah, for sure. So you really get the feel for what the fuck you're about to get assaulted with.
See, I like artwork like that where I can't see exactly what it is right away, and it holds enough curiosity to make me want to look at it even more. So good on the artist there.
Kyler says Cthulhu is coming for us. Well, you never know. And I agree with Mousebong also. Looks like an Elden Ring boss
Yeah.
from the video game. Very much so. Very fantasy style. And I like to see that, with death metal, especially the style that these guys do. They're a bit different.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a lot of classic stuff? I mean, absolutely. But I mean, for me, unholy deification, starting with offerings, the swarm, I guess 4 is what
Mm-hmm.
they have next to it, automatically kicks you right in the ass from the jump. The riffs are amazing. Very, very chunky, very controlled, very out in the forefront.
Mm-hmm.
And I did the thing that, Hoofbeast is always telling us to do, put on those earphones. So I did that because, sometimes you don't get the full effect if you just
Right.
listen to it, on loud on your phone or.
Well, if you're stoned in front of a good stereo system, that really, really well, because it really does enhance music.
It does.
To me, it does. It colors it a different way. It makes things stand out. I can separate the different instruments better when I'm partaking in front of a loud stereo.
For sure. And it literally has all the elements. One of the things I really particularly like, just going even off just the first track, there was no better track to open this record with, to be honest. I think it was very appropriate. Flows super well from track to track. I understand there's a theme here because they have all the Roman numerals next to them. They're telling a story, is what I'm getting here. I haven't really had a chance to look through the lyrics, but definitely every song has a specific part of this story that they're telling. It's like a book, people. It really is. And it's fucking death metal. Since when do you get a death metal record that is telling you some kind of like almost a satanic apocalyptic kind of story, like this? And you can tell just by all of the titles. But yeah, as far as like the guitar work, it's very thick, very chugalicious. There's that word again. Hashtag chugalicious or rifflicious. Just really good fret work. Very intelligent. I mean, these guys have been around for 30 plus years. I mean, they've been doing this a long time. But even kind of going back to their very first record, I had that written down. There it is. Onward to Golgotha.
Mm-hmm.
Every single one of these albums pretty much, tells a story. And this one is definitely no different. But this one's just very apocalyptic. I love it. There are some differences. I don't think that well, it's kind of hard to tell because, 1992 engineers had, what they had to work with as far as Pro Tools and stuff. So I really liked the drum sound on that first record and, most of the ones after that. It was a little bit different with this one. The snare sounds really flat.
Mm-hmm.
When you get that into the blast beats and stuff like that. So that was like my only thing that I didn't really care for. And I don't know. I don't hear the bass very prominent in the mix,
I
but
agree.
it's there.
I agree.
And the vocals throughout this whole record are fucking amazing. Very guttural, very low. Uh, not a lot of, higher registers, but fucking effective. I mean, they're doing their thing. They really haven't changed too many things. I mean, there's actually a lot of really good rhythmic changes throughout this record that I like, because you're not getting straight blast all the way through. There are literal groove breakdowns, which is, very evident on Homunculus, Megaron, and I love Exile, Defy the False. I really love that tune. It's definitely on my playlist right now. So, what were your takes on this?
Yeah, I think this is a really good album. I also listened to other people review this album. Everyone
Mm-hmm.
else, for the most part, loved it. There are two reviewers. One of them just doesn't like Doom, and he straight up tells you throughout. And so he's kind of like I'm like, well, why are you doing this? Well, because it's a big band. But if you already have a bias, I mean, at least you've told us this. But
Yeah, they were honest, at least.
what,
Fucktard.
it's Icarus. He's the one. But then there's another one. The other guy's autistic. He's out of Canada, and I like most of his reviews.
Mhm.
But he did In Memoriam, or no, it's Memoriam, which is the new bolt thrower. Because the
Yeah.
band member passed away, they decided to never use the name bolt thrower again in his honor. And so they now are called Memoriam. So they put out an album
Okay.
in January that's quite good. And this guy just thrashing on, and like I went to listen to it, I was like, what the hell are you talking about? This album is really, really good. And I'm gonna bring up another point related to Cannibal Corpse in a second.
Oh, sure.
So he goes and basically just trashes this. He ends up giving this album a 2 out of 5 stars,
Oh my goodness.
which to me is just nuts and unfair. And I'm also like, have you really listened to their whole discography? So
Obviously not.
so for those of you who are unfamiliar with Incantation, what you're getting is mid-tempo old school death metal.
Yes.
It's cavernous, slow vocal delivery, but mid-tempo. It's not fast. It's like slower than Bolt Thrower a little bit, like old Bolt Thrower. And I love Bolt Thrower. But it is doomy. They were one of the first death doom bands, but I don't really call them death doom because they're really like a real mid-tempo cavernous. Cavernous, yes, I would say that for every album they've made. Cavernous goes well with it.
Mm-hmm. Mousebong says, in true bolt thrower snobby fan fashion.
So
nice.
Another one of the points that both of these guys make, and almost everybody makes, is that Incantation's discography is really consistent. And
it is.
They really haven't been willing to change very much. And so the band that always comes up as a comparison is Cannibal Corpse. Another band, super consistent. You know what you're going to get with the album. Now, I do have to agree on some points that I do believe Incantation need to try to mix it up. And this is the fucking album that they have made the attempt, in my opinion, to do that. On Unholy Deification, they have attempted, and I have 3 songs that I'll have you listen to. So if you listen to the first few songs on the album, you're going to hear something that's like a mix between Bolt Thrower and Valenfire. Valenfire and the Paradise Lost guitarist went off with it's like a super band. They have now broken up. They did 3 albums. They are amazing albums. especially I think it's called The Fragile King, the first album. I love that. That's in my top 30 best albums of all time. It's definitely has the Swedish guitar tone, the chainsaw, buzzsaw kind of guitar tone.
Oh yeah.
Fire does, but it also is kind of doomy and there's a slow delivery. And when they do pick up the pace, it's a mid tempo. So in some ways, Fire, I'm sure, was inspired by Incantation a little bit. I can see this. But they kind of bring it up like it's a really bad thing. But they're willing to let Cannibal Corpse get away with it. And yes, Cannibal Corpse has tried some different things, especially now that they have Eric Rutan, guitarist, in there. The High on Fire guitarist, and he produces bands and stuff. He's amazing.
Fantastic guitarist.
He's got his own Ironbird from BC Rich. Like, I would love to have that. Anybody's out there that that's the fucking guitar for me. Oh my gosh.
Well, the nice thing about the new Cannibal for me is the fact that they're more back to roots a little bit as far as, the riffing, the drumming. You can tell that it doesn't feel synthetic because the previous couple albums they with the engineers that they worked with, it was all about pushing it even faster and making sure that everything was to a click track, which is not something a band like Cannibal was ever used to doing. And they had that one record where they really did try to change things up, and their fans didn't like it. Now, I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's The Wretched Spawn.
Yes.
So that fucking record was like so transcendent of different genres within extreme, death metal. There's moments in there that are very doomy. Maybe, I don't know, maybe some of the fans thought that they were ripping Incantation off a little bit with some of those tracks. Personally, I dug it. So, for people to be necking on this album that they're trying to do, because those first 3 tracks, I'm telling you right now, Offerings, Concordat, and Chalice are fucking bangers. Yeah. It ritually disembowels you. But you still get some of those, like I said, those rhythmic changes where, it's a little bit slower, a little bit more on the doom tip. What would make anyone who is a fan of Incantation or not, for this matter, that wouldn't be there? They've had a 30+ year career doing this style, and it's what they're known for. So why rip on them for it?
To me, they're just as consistent as Cannibal Corpse. And
yeah, very much so.
And the 3 songs that I would draw people's attention to, you've already hit on one of them, is Homunculus.
Oh yeah.
When I heard that song, I was like, hey, this is something different, these guys. Because the word Death Doom has always been attached to them. And to me, they're a little bit consistently too up-tempo to be Death Doom. And at least 3 of this, there's really 4 or 5 songs that are on the second half of the album that really lead you into Death Doom a little bit more. It's more deliberate. But
like Convulse.
On Homunculus, you have a definite Celtic Frost influence on there. The guitar tones, the guitar phrasing, the speed is a lot like Celtic Frost's last album, Monotheist, before they went on to be Triptykon. And I love Triptykon as well. But Monotheist is so fucking, that's their heaviest album by far. To Megatheron is excellent, but for making Exceeding,
yes,
absolutely, I totally agree. And Mouse,
which I completely credit the bassist for that.
Oh yeah. And something that I would add to what Mousebong is saying, back to Cannibal Corpse, as we do a little segue here, is Cannibal Corpse kind of drains my energy when I listen to it because it's so intense, because the riffs are so fucking they're
And
all
their
over the place.
fast changes.
Yes. It's an intense listen. Like I can't listen to it like while I'm feeding fish at my store. I need to have headphones on, listen to it because otherwise Cannibal Corpse to me kind of sounds a little bit like a Blur. The
It can at
same,
times just
the
a
same thing,
full-on ear assault.
yeah, the same thing goes for Incantation to me with a lot of their tremolo picking songs. So their mid-tempo songs have a lot of tremolo picking, and it is different than Bolt Thrower. It's lower and it's more dark, and it is lower than Bolt Thrower, but there's a lot of tremolo picking, and they might do like 3 or 4 power chords, junk, 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 and then they'll go junk, 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 junk. I love that stuff. That's fucking Incantation. Nobody does it like Incantation.
Right.
So, like, that's amazing. But on Homunculus, they're trying to step out, and I applaud them for this. I really,
Me
really.
too.
So it's like Celtic Frost, similar tone, really slow. This is definitely a different pace song than the previous 4 or 5 that I think come before it.
Mm-hmm.
On the
Big
album.
time.
To me, this is unique and different from their previous efforts. I love the last album, and I really like most of all their other stuff, but it can blur together. Like I can't be trying to do 2 things at the same time when I listen to Incantation. I really have to give them my undivided attention, and especially with headphones, because you hear so
Definitely
much.
not background music.
But you brought up about the bass, because the bass is lacking, and that's some bullshit, because that would make this even lower and more pummeling.
Not to
But
mention the guy's a hell of a player.
yeah, but I love I thought that John's vocals were a little different on this album too. They bite
They
a little
were.
more. They're a little bit more crisp, very low, very cavernous, very cave monsterish, but they're really clear, really good. And by the way, if you guys ever go see Incantation or Dying Fetus, John will come out. John is the last founding member, maybe the most important member because he writes most of the riffs. John will come out and talk to you, and he is the nicest guy. There is zero pretension with him. He treats everybody like you are his long lost brother. He's the nicest guy. And boy, do these guys blaspheme really, really fucking good too. And so when you meet him, like he's such a nice guy. Like I have people all the time meet me. They can't believe the music I'm into. They can't believe I was a ranger. They believe I'm some. I listen to Fish and Grateful Dead only, and I'm really into the kind of jam rock stuff. And, vegetarian, they're not surprised at all by that. But look at this wholesome goodness on the sleeve.
Oh, man. So good.
Like they have all kinds. And then on the back of my hoodie, like, thank you guys. I love wearing this. And the South, the fucking goat head on it. They hate that shit when they see it here.
Of course. Oh yeah, Hoof Beast, you're just such a 60s guy. And that's one of the things I love about this band is their fucking symbolism. This whole album is about breaking the sheep, the herd down to its knees and pummeling it. How can you not love that? And being a big fan of just straight up doom myself and death metal, you get it both together in an epic fashion. And I feel, just like from the doom, boom, and then there's this slick right back into it as far as the drumming's concerned. And I think that's so fucking appropriate instead of hearing here we go, click it off, 1 2 3 4 for 5 fucking minutes. No, you can't do that. I love how they cut between both styles like that. Which and this is why they have a cult following, in my personal opinion, because fans of either genre dig the fuck out of them. So it's smart. Why fucking do what's already being done? Cannibal came out hardcore in the 90s, straight on, full assault. There was no real, I mean, they have their breakdown moments, and some groovy moments too, but not like Incantation does.
So the other two songs that I really liked was Invocation. So Homunculus, Invocation. Invocation brings in something different as well. They don't have this Celtic Frost kind of tone for this, but it is slow. But now they introduce some melodic little fills with the guitar, and it's more atmospheric. It's a little bit more atmospheric and a little bit more melodic. That song is Invocation. Thank you. It's something that's different. Like, I don't know how these other two guys, I don't know what they were listening to, because this is a good album. It's not like totally different. To me, it's not a 5 out of 5 star.
No,
but it's probably a good 3.5 to 4 star. It's a good album. And then the last one is the last song on the album, and it's called Circle. And what's the other one that starts with an M? Megaron or something like that? Megaron?
Yep, Megaron.
Yeah, that's a really good song. That's really slow as well. Circle.
That's the one I originally thought you were talking about for like the real slow, almost funeral style. Because that's how that one hits me. And it just kind of takes you into almost a fantasy trip in your mind when you're listening to it. And I love the fact that you kind of brought up about how the vocals are very crisp. Usually with this type of shit, you can't understand a fucking word. You can understand his words. Yeah, surprisingly. Because everyone thought, Corpse Grinder's the only guy you can literally understand every word. This guy does it just as well, but in a much different delivery.
Really slow, sustained delivery. It's fucking cavernous. But
I almost prefer that over the How else are you going to fit all those words in when the band's going all the way through?
Well, when you hear people really can understand me by listening to my music. I don't do the same thing all the time. I change vocals. Now I have black metal vocals and then fucking funeral doom, really low, really slow vocals. And I mix them sometimes. Sometimes I let one be prominent and the other one be backing. It's because I get bored. Like Corpse Grinder, I love you, dude. You're the best headbanger in the world. But that delivery every time is a little much for me sometimes. And I like for there to be variety. So
he doesn't even go as high like he normally used to. Like he would do tag offs is what I like to call them. Like he'll be doing that mid-range thing. He doesn't go very far below because I just don't think he can do it. But he used to be able to give this like epic kind of like black scream tag. He just doesn't really do it anymore.
Yeah, that's called the fry. Like when you do that, you put your tongue back and your tongue is flat, your mouth is open, and just fry. Like that's really good. Yeah, he doesn't do that quite as much anymore. And I don't know, maybe it's because live, when I'm doing this stuff and I try to switch it up between high and low, just because I'm new to doing these extreme vocals, I can't. My muscles aren't big enough or as athletic enough right now. They're getting better and better, but I can't just jump like Travis Ryan. He's such a vocal acrobat. I can't do what he does with Cattle Decapitation. But
Shit.
the song Circle is the last song on the album. It's super slow, super doomy. It holds on to single notes, kind of like Sabbath, and kind of like how you are with Iron Serpent a little bit more. It's holding on to that single note a little bit more, which is different. Like, yes, they've done it in the past a little bit, but not like this. Like, they're really holding those single notes out quite a bit. And once again, the slow vocals. So this album is different. There is a lot that is like their previous 10 albums, or I think it's 13 albums.
Mm-hmm. And they got a new one for 2024 already.
Oh, boy.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, they don't. My bad. I misread that.
I think I just
Homunculus was actually the single that they released off of the record before the whole record came out.
Yeah, and I think they were doing that because they were trying to say, hey, guys, we got something different for you here. I applaud, like Incantation. John, by the way, if you ever want to come on this show, if you by chance get this, we will have you in a fucking heartbeat. John is a great dude. But yeah, they're trying to do something different, and I applaud them for this. It's really good. They're so consistent with all their other albums. I want them to change something a little bit, and I think they've made really good decisions. I think they've, like, 4 of the songs are really slow. You could argue 5 are slower than the others, and I want them to look at those and say, hey, what do we like out of these 4? And let's do a whole album with that next time. Fine with me.
I think that would be a good recipe.
Yep. So, guys, I love this album. To me, I would give it probably 4 out of 5 stars.
As would I.
I would give it 4.5 if they would have done more of the slower songs that are a little different. Because, I will admit, to be quite frank, I don't like to say to be honest, because I try to be honest all the time. But to be frank about this,
just don't be Shirley.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Where is Miss Kelsey? This they needed to change a little bit because a lot of their albums are a little too consistent, and they do sound pretty similar. They're fucking brutal. They're fucking nasty. They're really dark. They're very blasphemous. Fucking thank you. But guys, go buy this album. You won't regret it. At least give it a listen. Listen to it with headphones. And look for those differences. If you like doom, or to me, it's so fucking heavy. It's like having a 50-foot boulder come down upon you.
Personally, Mouse Bong, I'm going to say that, yes, windmilling absolutely created his fucking neck. And it came, I don't know what, 2 or 3 albums in together that thing started like just growing as a mass. And people actually, and I've read this like multiple times, people have actually asked him like, dude, aren't you kind of like worried about this? Like, that wasn't there before and now it is. And, they're like, well, don't you go to the doctor for it or whatever? He's like, nope, because I'm afraid to find out what's in there. Obviously, it's nothing bad. It's just his fucking neck muscles got the best workout anybody could ever get, and he's it's got the neck that can break your neck. Shit, I don't know.
He was already a pretty big dude,
big dude,
muscular dude, and I think it's just Cannibal Corpse tours like crazy. They do like
never stop.
2 tours every year. They're touring all of the time.
And for long periods of time.
Yeah, they're long tours, 2.5, 3 months every time.
That says a lot.
Mm-hmm. Goes up there, everybody's expecting one of the things to go see is to see Corpse Grinder do his windmill.
I
Totally.
mean, sure, some people just want to see it as a spectacle. All right. So we're going to switch gears now to what I like to call the ultimate trio of death metal. Because
Oh,
it's just these three dudes, man. Motherfucking Dying Fetus. The fact, man, of what they do, you never really would have thought that three guys could make this happen. The way that they do it, the thickness of it. It's, the bass definitely has always played a huge part in what they do,
mhm.
with just one fucking guitar player. So you're getting that big wall of sound, excellent fucking drumming. And again, these guys are completely seasoned, and who would have thought? And this is another band that started right around the same time that the genre exploded. 91. you know, and out of one of the most unusual places too, fucking Maryland. Who would have thought? Which is really strange now because Maryland is now super famous for the Maryland Doom Festival.
Yeah.
Now, see, I get that because it's fucking Maryland. There's a lot to be sad about, a lot to feel like that doom and gloom. But, just like anybody else, you smoke some of that devil's lettuce and you just, I don't know, are comfortable in the darkness. But 9 studio albums and they're still here.
Yep. Yeah, with Dying Fetus, you don't get an album every year, every other year. You get an album every 5 or 6 years.
Absolutely. And I mean, shit, they've played all the big festivals, Walking. I think single-handedly kind of like create a need for people to want to see them play live. And, they almost look larger than life when that happens too. That's why I chose this photo of them. I mean, their imagery is fantastic. And just the dude getting tossed in the crowd. I mean, that says it all. You're in for a hell of a ride. Now, and we were kind of talking about how there's a theme going on, obviously through that Incantation record. Well, there's also one going through this record as well. This is Dying Fetus's latest record, Make Them Beg for Death. So just looking at the photo, you can tell that this person has completely just been tortured and brought to their knees to the point where they just want it to stop. For me, tracks like Compulsion for Cruelty, definitely I would have to look super, super deeper. It could be something completely different than what I'm thinking. It could be political. It could be just very humanitarian kind of thing. I don't know, but obviously there's, we go from that to a song like Throw Them in the Van. I mean, they could be like, this album could be completely dedicated to PETA. I don't know. You know what I mean? But clearly with just awesome fucking riffs. Not, super, super technical, but very powerful is what I would like to say there. And they're a little bit different too. They're not your run-of-the-mill Cannibal Corpse style.
Yeah.
They definitely stand apart. The
Oh,
one thing I super, super appreciate on this record is the drums. I think the drums are very, very well done. And the
fuck.
bass is right fucking where it needs to be.
And the riffs so tasty.
That's the thing. They're tasty. You feel them. It draws you in and makes you want to, like the guy surfing in the crowd there. It makes you want to just destroy. And this record is so fucking angry.
Oh,
uh I mean, it's perfect. If like you've had a bad day, this record will, you know what I mean? Or you dread going in to see the boss, the next morning at work. Throw on a good fucking raised in victory, raised in defeat. Like that's my go-to if I'm having a bad day.
yeah, these guys are, to me, the kings of groove. I don't care what anyone says. Their groove is thicker and more intense than even Pantera.
Welcome, Lewis. Better late than never, brother. All the way from the UK. What's
Uh,
happening?
but Dying Fetus are the kings of groove. And if you go to one of their shows live, now Meshuggah is another band that is amazing. The groove that they have live, I just can't get it in the same way by listening to it with headphones or on a stereo system. But Dying Fetus, I can feel that groove even listening to the music. But if you want to have one hell of a time at a show, go see Dying Fetus. It is so groovy, so fucking tasty. And once again, the band will be out there to say hello to you. Nice.
That's because they give a shit.
Really nice guys. And
they know that in this crazy industry of ours, that a band like themselves to be going this long, they fucking really appreciate every fan that comes out to see them.
And these two are on tour right now. Incantation is touring with Dying Fetus right now. Our friend John from New Jersey with Immortal Rotting, he went and saw them. And then I don't know if you guys on Instagram have seen Metal Overdose. It's Claudia. I don't know. She's independently wealthy. She goes to every show that comes through Chicago, and goes through Chicago. If you're in Chicago, you're so fucking lucky. Every fucking band comes through Chicago. And she goes to every show. She has the vinyls. She has the t-shirt for every fucking band.
God damn.
Got to be independently wealthy.
Must be.
Yeah, but she just posted like 2 nights ago she saw them in Chicago. They're coming to Greensboro, but Greensboro is a 5-hour drive. I'm sorry, guys. I've already seen you. I'm not driving. Then that means at midnight I'm driving 5 hours back.
Yikes.
Yeah.
That's a touch much.
Yeah, I'm not.
But okay. Lewis said I saw them in 2006. Dying Fetus for the win. Yeah, for sure. That is, if I had to pick between these two bands, which is very difficult because each band offers something that I love, I would be a little bit more prone to Dying Fetus because of their fucking power grooves, and they don't do that typical death metal thing where you get a groove for a little bit and then just blast for like the next however many minutes after that. They're mostly groove, and for a death metal band in this genre to do that, I think is badass. And I think that they have influenced every other band in the genre.
Yeah, they definitely are a big influence. Nobody does it like them. This is yet another band whose discography, there are no bad albums. I think they've put out 7 albums. I have all of them. Tomorrow, my other one is coming, but they every album is so damned tasty. They're so consistent, so groovy, so heavy. You have dueling vocalists all the time. The bassist taps. He plays with the pick because he's having to do a lot of fast stuff. Cool. He's a really good bassist, plays with the pick. He's tapped all the time. He's right along with the guitars. And this is not easy stuff to play. This is like chord changes that are so fast and all over the place, plus all kinds of finger licks throughout, melodic licks. There's really, really good stuff.
Definitely gives Tom Araya a run for his money.
On Make Them Beg for Death, which is his latest album, the three songs that I would bring up, that I would say these are the three I would want you to listen to, and everyone is good. Every single one. To me, this album, 4.5 out of 5 stars, maybe 5 out of 5 stars. I need to listen to it some more. And like also this album, Reign Supreme. This one is so fucking good, and it got a lot of bad criticism. I don't get it. This album's fucking excellent. And so is their last one that came out in 2017, Wrong One to Fuck With. The first song that comes out on this one is just nuts. Like, it's not for the faint of heart or for a weak guitar player. That shit's fucking awesome. But the three songs on Make Them Beg for Death is Undulating Carnage and Raised in Victory, Raised in Heat.
That's my big one right now.
That's probably my favorite one. And Hero's Grave is really good. And I love Thrown in a Van too. I'll give you 4 there. So
that was my second pick.
Every song on the album is absolutely outstanding. And if you go see them live, you're going to go buy some merch if you have money. You're going to put it on your credit card because this band is so fucking good. Dying Fetus.
Yeah. The other one that I would recommend also is Compulsion for Cruelty. It's definitely not a skipper kind of album. Mm-hmm. We're just trying to draw your attention to key songs on the record that we think you guys would definitely dig. And from what I can see, from the comment section, most of you guys dig both of these bands. Mm-hmm. And equally good at what they do. But, yes, groove is like the big thing for this band, but they've still evolved. It's like every record just gets better and better, some more aggressive than others, but, this record here says they're not about to go anywhere at all. Like, the creativity is just as good as it ever has been. Mm-hmm. And that's saying a lot, because I hate to bring them up again. There was some Cannibal Corpse records that were just kind of like, okay, here we go again. Not really offering too much, different. So yeah, definitely with this one, I highly recommend getting this one.
Like, if I had to describe, what am I going to hear before I turn on Dying Fetus? You're going to hear a lot of chugging, thick chugging, 2 vocalists. One's throat is more airy. The bassist is more airy, how he pushes out his growls. And then the guitarist is a lot more deep and a lot more gurgly, and like, it's a really different delivery. And so you're going to get a lot of chugging, but then you're also going to get a lot. Thanks a lot, guy. And then you're going to get a lot of little guitar licks, like like it's like you're in a washing machine that keeps changing directions, like there's a lot of variety into it. They are so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to add that, they're one of the few bands where having that dynamic of two vocalists, it's kind of rare in the genre. It's usually up to one person.
Mhm.
Sure, maybe there's some backing growls from, one of the other guitar players, but in this case, they're both pretty prominent back
Yeah,
and forth.
they are.
And honestly, I think they're the only ones that it really works with. There's a lot of deathcore bands that kind of do the same thing, and I don't think that I've never liked it. But in this vein, the way Dying Fetus does it, I love it. It's
I,
definitely a good mix.
the other band that does it a lot, that has both of them being pretty prominent, maybe not as distinct because they both kind of share it throughout each verse, is Belfager.
Oh yeah,
Black metal, but I love how they have two vocalists. I think, and Belfager's another band. Their last album, The Devil, that's in my top 30 best albums of all time. So much variety, so different, difficult to play stuff. Just, it's like
it's never boring.
as Indian food. There's so many different flavors mixed that you're like, oh, I taste cloves here. Oh, I taste some cumin here. I taste coconut milk here. There's fucking. Yeah, it's so.
That's
fun.
a really good way to put it.
But this album, guys, it is really, really good. Just like the last one, Wrong One to Fuck With. That album is fucking awesome. And then Reigns, I think it's Reigns Supreme. That one, yeah, that's the
2012,
2010. That one is just amazing. They're such a good band. They deserve you to save up your money and go check them out.
And you can tell that they're not fucking around because, damn, if there's ever been an album cover that just fucking catches you. I mean, I'm surprised that, there wasn't well, then again, we live in a fucked up country as far as not having music stores anymore. So it's not like you would have to worry about it being on the shelf. Because most people get their music in this country delivered. And this is something I talked about with last week with Sumner Circle. Mm-hmm. That Europe has us beat, guys. There are record stores all over Europe. You can go buy your CDs and vinyl. We don't have it. It's very fucking rare, especially to get new stuff. But if I was to see that on the shelf, not knowing who they were, because I've been there since the beginning, I would have been like, I've got to get that record right the fuck now. Mm-hmm. It's evident even on, Wrong One to Fuck With. Reign Supreme is really good, but History Repeats. God damn. They're very good at kind of setting you up for what you're about to get into when you listen to them.
I hear you talk about the drummer a little bit more. There's sometimes he's so creative and he's not filling all the space like the whole time.
That's because this brand of death metal that they do, it doesn't call for it.
But he does some really sophisticated things, does he not? Mm-hmm. He throws in.
He's definitely using a lot of rudiments in what he does. Lots of doubles, lots of paradiddles, very good with accents. And he can still, mix it with the other boys that are very showy, mm-hmm. But I got to go back to um, Gene Hoglan. You don't have to be so overplaying to be phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And this drummer definitely, if laying the grooves down that he does with what they do, it's almost like the death metal version of Vinnie Paul.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best way I can put that. And I really do appreciate that. And the fact that the sound that they're getting isn't so ticky. And you do get that a lot with death metal bands, and black metal bands for that matter. But no triggers. He's getting natural sounds out of that shit. Very good technician.
Yeah. Can't say anything more. It's a great album. They really take time. They take 6 to 7 years between albums, at least in the last 16, 17 years. They've really spaced it out quite a bit. And they're being thoughtful. They tour their asses off too.
That they do. Since they started in 98, 2 years later, a new album, 2 years, actually 3 years later, another one, 4 years. They really take their time to write.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that a good band, and I could say this about any type of genre of metal, you don't have to put something out every year.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't. Because you got to give yourself some time to, it's not like the old days when you could tour an entire year on one record, or even 2 years for that matter. So what they're doing is they're leaving space to go, hey, let's do this stint over in Europe. Hey, let's do a small US tour here. Hey, let's go into Canada for a little bit. It's like that they care about their fans. And you've even said so. Both of these bands really, how much they actually care about their fans. They want to make sure that they can hit as many different areas without sticking everything together and blowing themselves out.
Mm-hmm.
Bands that do that, like fucking Cannibal, for instance. Too much all at once. And it's like they don't give themselves enough creative time to like really, write. Which is why I think that the bass player for them is the one who predominantly does the writing, because George has a family. A few of the other guys have families and stuff. It's like they can't just be sitting there writing all the time. They have a life to live, right? So I actually appreciate that about Dying Fetus, because every time they do put a record out, it's that much better, intense, and stylistically just delivering the best that they can do.
And I kind of think about the band Tool. Now, Tool went 10 damn years without an album. Take their time. And Dying Fetus, compared to most, 6, 7 years between albums is a long time. And a lot of times an album is made just as an excuse to go tour on it. Dying Fetus,
very much so.
Dying Fetus doesn't really do that. And
they don't have to.
So I thought about, like, I see some people just putting out album after album in the deep underground like we are. They can just put out album after album after album. And then when I listen to their music, it's very straightforward. Like, they're not trying something that's super artistic and very different. And
no, they don't give it time to savor the flavor.
Like, I could put out, if I was just going to do, okay, this is going to be straight black metal. Oh shit, I'd be done with that album in 3-4 months, totally. And I work at a snail's pace. But because I'm mixing funeral doom, death metal, and black metal together, and I've got to try to make these work. And there's one song, as you know, it didn't work out quite so well, and you're going to have to pull some magic out of your ass to make some parts of it work a little bit better, which I have full faith that you will. But
little satanic fairy dust out of my ass.
What's that?
I said a little satanic fairy dust out of my ass.
but
I like a challenge.
Get at is when you're an artist, like I'm not overthinking what I'm doing. I don't think they overthink what they're doing, and I'm also not trying to compare myself to them so much.
No.
Like they have accomplished so much,
Oh
but
yeah.
as an artist, I think I understand what they're doing. They are really trying many different things to make it sound unique. In
Yeah, they
their
don't want to become stale.
yeah,
And
and
they're
they're
not worried about relevancy either.
mm-hmm,
That is what the underground guys are doing right now. They're
mm-hmm,
thinking, well, shit, I constantly have to come up with something new. Otherwise, people are going to forget about us.
yeah,
And that's where the whole marketing yourself online problem comes in.
mm-hmm.
You know, there's nothing wrong with one great album in a year, put it out, do some videos, you know, for whatever singles or what have you. And, you know, the rest of the time you tour, you get out there and you mix it up with your fans. You don't have to, obviously, you know, it's almost damn near impossible for bands in the underground or even just, you know, indie bands from 30 years ago either. It's not like they can just go out and do it all the time. You know what I mean? We're not mainstream. We're not pop stars, and it takes a lot of money to do it. And you want to make sure that you're playing with bands that compliment you, and you want a good experience, and you want to give a good experience to your fans.
Mm-hmm.
But these unsigned groups and stuff that it's like they just keep pumping shit out. Some of them, I think, keep pumping it out also because they don't want to tour. So if you're not touring at all, sure, you can pump out an album a year, maybe even two. I've seen some of these underground bands put out a full length and an EP all in the same year. And it's like, why?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like they're almost,
It,
I don't know.
it's
If you
used.
put out one good album or an EP in a year, if you're good and people really like what you're doing, they're not going to forget about you.
I see mostly black metal bands. Some of them are putting out 3 or 4 albums a year,
Dude,
and
that's fucking
and,
ridiculous.
and it's like they all run. They sound the same. So like, I don't want to be compared to that. I want to sound
Hell
different.
no.
I want to sound different than everybody else, and I think I do sound different than everybody else. And not because I'm trying so much, it's because I'm this is what I love. This is what I'm the most passionate about right now. And here you go. I already know what my next album is going to sound like. I've already know what changes and I'm going to challenge myself to become better at guitar. And I'm going to add a melodic element into it next time.
Mm-hmm.
It's still going to be much of the same. And it's going to be more dissonant as well, which is really hard to write.
Oh, absolutely. That is the mark of a true artist, in my opinion. Somebody that you know has a vision and you know what direction they want to go in, and it goes all the way to lyrics too. You know, vocally. So why rush that? Because I think it becomes more authentic that way because you've really taken the time to, you know, not only put out the best music you can, but you want it to be relatable to fans instead of just another black metal project out in the wind.
Yep. Here's another
That's
one.
how all bands should be.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them don't do it.
Yep.
It's sad, but you know, it's a doggy dog world. You got industry guru people telling you, oh, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do that. Do it your own fucking way. And I think that's where your Misfits and your Sam Hain comes in. Fucking do it yourself the way you want it done. Although obviously you don't want to sound horrible, but not to say that they're horrible, but recordings wise, you know, you definitely want to shine and not be a band that's better live than they are on record. You do want both.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why, when I was my time in Black Tar was successful, because when we did that full length record, it stood on its own. It was heartfelt, and people definitely dug it. And we reproduced it live.
Mm-hmm. And really well too. And you guys are an example of, you did an EP and you turned right back around 5 months later and you had a full length out.
It was a little bit easier back then, I would say, though, because of COVID.
Oh, yeah.
Because we had done the EP, we really couldn't play much except for doing all the live stream tours that we did, which, don't get me wrong, that was fun, but it was like one a month, maybe two. We tried to stack a month full, and it was damn near impossible. Plus, rehearsing in between, we were starting to already write, there was enough material there to say, okay, we know we have at least two really good songs for the record. And then that's when we really started the collaboration end of it, where the bassist vocalist already had a couple songs already created. All we had to do was revamp, but then we started writing together as a unit. So that's really the only reason why we were able to pump that out. So.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, hey, that was our synopsis of these two records, two defining records this year. There was a lot of albums that have come out, but definitely these two are standouts. And if you're already a fan of either band and you haven't heard it yet, we urge you to definitely check it out and try to put it into your rotation. At the end of the day, make your own judgments, but the two of us definitely stand behind it, and I think you're going to dig it. So we really appreciate you guys on this Malevolent Monday. I think that's the new tag to not sound like the Bengals anymore.
Yeah.
But as you're going through your week, and we appreciate you picking us here on the Black Flame Entertainment Network, and tune in. Definitely, there's going to be a Reapers Underground this Thursday with a rescheduled interview with Sister Kill Cycle. Oh my goodness, you can see what kind of day it's been. Finally got them back. Everything's cool, gravy. They will be here this Thursday, and definitely, check out the rest of the shows throughout the week. If you've missed anything, go to YouTube, like, subscribe, and all of our shows, Tracks of the Damned, Reapers Underground, and the goddamn program, they're all there. Go check them out. And we appreciate you guys tuning in here every Monday. And
like and subscribe.
Yep. I actually said that, but that's good to punch it back home. So as you're getting ready to go into the rest of your week, and you need some brutality in your life, check out Incantation Dying Fetus, and most importantly, stay heavy.
All residents, go in and stay in your houses. Drive the rats in the tank area.